Welcome to Buzz TV. I'm your host, Wes Benwick. Joining me today is Jason Love with the law firm of Crick Love, and that means you are the love in Crick Love.
Good morning. That's correct. I am the love in Crick Love.
And you're also a divorce attorney, so love and divorce all in one package here, right?
It does work out pretty well, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Tell me, divorce is a serious topic, but it's something that, unfortunately, more than half of the marriages, at least here in Jacksonville, are ending in divorce. Where do you fit in this process, and when should someone call you?
Well, inherently, a divorce is a breaking of a union. People that get divorced rarely are in a state of mind where they're making good decisions. Unless you have no property and you are on good terms with the soon-to-be ex, and you have no kids and basically nothing, you need a divorce attorney. You need someone there to represent you, to be able to point out all the issues and also to keep you grounded. If you are angry or sad or just spiteful, vindictive, you shouldn't represent yourself and should get someone to help you out.
What's some advice that you have for people who are contemplating divorce before they've even gone down the road of picking an attorney or speaking to one?
Well, judges will often ask you, I mean, we're a no-fault state, so it really doesn't matter why you're getting divorced, but judges will often ask, can going to a counselor help save this marriage or anything like that? We would recommend that you go and talk to someone. It doesn't hurt. You obviously loved them at one point. Why is it broken now? Additionally, you just need to have as much information, just come around and talk to an attorney, because you don't know the process. And knowing the process is was why you hire an attorney.
I mean, you could represent yourself in divorce cases, but it's not recommended.
That's correct. As they say, the person who represents himself in court has a fool for an attorney. You could represent yourself. The Florida Supreme Court has an entire website dedicated to forms and instructions on how to do the divorce. But because there's so many complex issues and there's so many statutes, I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of pages in the law that dictates how a divorce can go down. So it's highly not recommended to represent yourself.
Highly not recommended.
Yes.
Well, let's talk about why that is. What are some of the issues that you see most often in divorce cases?
Well, the three that really pop up and I think that people talk about obviously would be alimony. Alimony is money one spouse pays to another spouse to maintain their standard of living. It's going to be a little bit different for different lengths of marriages and different standards of marriages. Short term would be like 1 to 7 years. That's not going to get you any alimony for the most part. I mean, maybe in some unique circumstances. Intermediate would be 7 to 17. You might get some lump sum money to help you transition to single life. And then long term would be like your grandma or your grandpa who've been around forever. And that could have permanent alimony. It could have all sorts of different things, but it just depends. The main thing I think most people have to deal with is equitable distribution of property. The courts don't say, well, I don't like you, so I'm going to give you less stuff. It's supposed to be equitable. What people fail to do sometimes is they fail to get an inventory of all their items. They fail to think about it rationally. They want to be vindictive, or they think that their share should be greater than it actually is going to be. So what an attorney does is they sit down, they remind you, hey, inventory. Talk to that person. Is anything more important than the rest? I had a client who wanted his motorcycles, so he signed over the car. She agreed to give him the motorcycles. The most contentious issue, though, would be parenting plans.
Yes.
When it comes to kids, parents get very protective. They fail to realize that the other parent is in the same boat. So they think that because their relationship failed, they're not a good parent. Well, that's not necessarily true. An attorney is going to go up there, and if the person is a bad parent, that's the attorney's job to prove that they're a bad parent. Otherwise, the court's going to say, you haven't proved that they're a bad parent. They do a good job. The kid wants to stay with them. They'll try to be equitable. Their job is to do best interest of the child. Take many things into account when it comes to splitting a child in terms of their time sharing, to like where the parent lives, how much money they make, what hours do they work. If you got someone who works 48 on, 48 off, it's going to be very difficult to take care of that child sometimes. Lots and lots of different issues that have to be taken up, which often are overlooked by someone who is blinded by rage or grief or anything like that.
One of the most common things that I see in friends of mine and people that I know that have gotten divorced is their financial situation normally precludes them from having the money to hire an attorney. What do you tell people like that, and is there hope for them?
Oh, absolutely. We normally don't ask for a large retainer up front. We understand that rarely does someone have $2,000 or $1,000 or $5,000 or what have you sitting in their bank account just ready to go. Okay, a lot of times money is an issue for divorce, and therefore there's probably not money. We actually take a really progressive role of trying to make the process as cheap and as painless as possible. We send a lot of homework home so the client can do a lot of their work themselves, so we don't actually charge them for that time for filling in paperwork. We try to get them to do as much of their investigations and stuff as they can. So again, we save them some time and money.
Very smart. How would someone learn more about you and reach you?
Well, they can call us at our office at 904-515-0811. They can Google us. We have a website as well. It's crickandlovelaw.com. Or just stop by our office. We're located on the corner of College and King Street in the King Street District.
And you literally put the love in divorce, don't you?
I'd like to believe so.
Jason, thank you so much for joining us
Thank you.
today with Crick and Love. For Buzz TV, I'm your host, Wes Benwick. We'll catch you next time.